Today, I am going to show you exactly what is driving accelerated aging at the cellular level, what it has to do with your hormones, and what longevity medicine actually looks like when it is done properly. Two people can be exactly the same chronological age and be biologically decades apart, same birthday, completely different bodies, completely different trajectories, and almost everyone who is aging faster than they should be is told the same wrong thing, that it is genetic, that it's inevitable, that there is nothing meaningful they can do about it. That is not true. And the science proving it is not true has never been more clear or more actionable than it is right now. Biological aging is not fixed. It is driven by specific, measurable, addressable processes happening inside your cells. And when you understand what those processes are, you can intervene in ways that genuinely change your trajectory. Let me start with a distinction that changes everything. Your chronological age is simply how long you have been alive, the number on your birthday cake, the year on your driver's license. Your biological age is the actual functional age of your cells, your organs, your vascular system, and your hormonal environment. And it can be significantly older or significantly younger than your chronological age, depending on the choices, exposures, and biological process that have shaped you over time. Research in epigenetics, the science of how environment and behavior influence gene expression, has shown conclusively that biological age is far more plastic than we ever believed. People with identical genetics can have biological ages that differ by 15 to 20 years based on lifestyle, stress exposure, hormonal status, sleep quality, and inflammatory burden, which means that two people who are both 50 years old may have one who is biologically 40 and one who is biologically 65. And here is what matters practically. Your biological age is a far better predictor of your health outcomes, your disease risk, your cognitive trajectory, and your overall vitality than your chronological age will ever be. The goal of longevity medicine is not to live forever. The goal is to compress the period of decline at the end of life and extend the period of full function, energy, and vitality for as long as biologically possible. That is a very achievable goal, and it starts with understanding what is driving your biological clock. There are four primary mechanisms driving accelerated biological aging, and in most people over 40, all four are operating simultaneously to some degree. Driver one, chronic inflammation. Inflammation is your immune system's acute response to injury or infection. In short bursts, it is essential and protective. But chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that persists silently for years without obvious symptoms, is one of the most potent accelerators of biological aging that we know of. Researchers have given it a name, inflammaging, the chronic inflammatory state that underlies virtually every major age-related disease, from cardiovascular disease to Alzheimer's to cancer to metabolic dysfunction. It is driven by poor sleep, chronic stress, processed food, environmental toxins, excess visceral fat, and hormonal imbalance, and it operates largely below the threshold of symptoms, which is why most people have no idea it is happening until it has been going on for years. The single most important thing most people can do to slow their biological aging is to identify and systematically reduce their inflammatory burden. Driver 2, mitochondrial decline. Your mitochondria are the energy-producing structures inside your cells, and they are also central regulators of the aging process itself. As mitochondria age and accumulate damage, they become less efficient at producing energy, they generate more oxidative stress, and they begin triggering inflammatory signals that accelerate cellular aging throughout the body. Mitochondrial decline is why energy levels drop with age, why recovery from exercise takes longer, why cognitive sharpness diminishes, and why the body's overall resilience decreases over time. The good news is that mitochondria respond powerfully to specific interventions, resistance training, strategic fasting, specific nutrients, including NAD precursors, and hormonal optimization, all have documented positive effects on mitochondrial function and number. Driver 3, telomere shortening. Telomeres are the protective caps on the ends of your chromosomes. Think of them like the plastic tips on shoelaces that keep the lace from fraying. Every time a cell divides, telomeres shorten slightly. When they become too short, the cell can no longer divide. It becomes senescent, what researchers call a zombie cell, and it begins pumping out inflammatory signals that damage surrounding tissue. Telomere shortening is one of the most well-established biological clocks we have, and the rate at which yours are shortening is not fixed by your genetics alone. Chronic stress, poor sleep, smoking, high cortisol, processed food, and sedentary behavior all accelerate telomere shortening significantly. Conversely, regular exercise, stress management, quality sleep, and optimal hormonal status have all been shown to slow telomere attrition and in some cases support telomere maintenance. Driver 4, decline. This is where longevity medicine and hormone optimization intersect, and it is an area that mainstream medicine has been frustratingly slow to address. Every major anabolic hormone in your body, growth hormone, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, declines with age. And these hormones are not just about reproduction or muscle mass or libido. They are fundamental regulators of cellular repair, tissue regeneration, immune function, cognitive protection, cardiovascular health, and metabolic efficiency. When these hormones decline significantly, the body's ability to repair itself diminishes proportionally. Skin loses collagen and elasticity, muscle mass decreases, bone density drops, cognitive function slows, cardiovascular risk rises, and the overall rate of biological aging accelerates. Optimizing hormonal status is not about vanity. It is about giving your cells the biological signals they need to repair, regenerate, and function the way they were designed to. I want to spend a moment on this specifically because it is one of the most underappreciated areas in longevity medicine. The conversation about longevity tends to focus heavily on diet, exercise, sleep, and supplementation, all of which matter enormously. But hormonal optimization is arguably the most powerful lever most people have never pulled. Growth hormone, which peaks in your 20s and declines steadily thereafter, drives tissue repair, fat metabolism, lean muscle preservation, skin collagen production, and immune regulation. DHEA, the precursor hormone that supports production of both testosterone and estrogen, has been shown in research to correlate strongly with biological aging. Lower DHEA levels are consistently associated with accelerated aging markers across multiple systems. Testosterone in both men and women supports lean muscle mass, bone density, cognitive function, cardiovascular health, and motivation, all of which are central to the quality of life longevity medicine is trying to preserve. And estrogen in women is neuroprotective, cardioprotective, and critical for bone preservation. Its decline in the perimenopausal period is associated with a measurable acceleration in biological aging across multiple organ systems. The research on hormone optimization and longevity is not fringe science. It is an increasingly mainstream component of evidence-based longevity medicine, and it is something I believe every person over 40 deserves to have a serious conversation about with a clinician who understands the full picture. Longevity medicine is not about taking a handful of supplements and hoping for the best. It is a systematic, data-driven approach to understanding your current biological status and intervening at the root level to slow the processes driving accelerated aging. It starts with comprehensive testing, not just standard labs, but markers of inflammation like high sensitivity CRP, markers of metabolic function like fasting insulin and HbA1c, a full hormone panel, and increasingly biological age testing that can give you a direct read on where your cells actually are relative to your chronological age. From that baseline, we build a protocol that addresses your specific drivers because the most important thing driving accelerated aging in one person may be entirely different from what is driving it in another. For one person, it is cortisol and inflammation. For another, it is hormonal decline and mitochondrial insufficiency. The approach has to be as individual as the biology. What does not change is the goal: more years of full function, full energy, full cognitive clarity, and full vitality. Not just more years, better years. The most common thing I hear from patients who begin a longevity-focused protocol is not that they feel younger. It is that they finally feel like themselves again. And that distinction matters because the goal was never to turn back the clock to 25. The goal is to feel vital, functional, and fully engaged with your life for as long as possible. That is achievable. The science supports it. And the starting point is understanding where you actually are right now. We have a free hormone quiz at Defy naturalaging.com that is a meaningful first step in that direction. It takes 2 minutes and it will give you a clear signal of where your hormonal foundation stands right now. The best time to start paying attention to your biological age was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. The research on hormone optimization and longevity is not fringe science. It is an increasingly mainstream component of evidence-based longevity medicine. And it is something I believe every person over 40 deserves to have a serious conversation about with a clinician who understands the full picture.